So we were when I was trying to think of the drink to do, there were so many ways. Obviously, we could do a drink. It was going to be a cocktail originally, and so we kind of planning around that. And as I say, we, I mean me. But when I talked to Charlotte about some of the different spirits that she had in her portfolio about using, and I really wanted to do a drink that was more about what I'm about and what the farm is about, which is about the vegetables, in the herbs and things that are growing here. So instead of going completely really high end with this drink, we kind of went completely the opposite way and went backwards, where we try to bring out more of the earthy tones that come from the different herbs, kind of some of the soil flavors and things. I love to use beet also, and one of the drinks that I use a lot of beet and black radish just to get that earthiness out of it with a Geneva that pulls out a lot of that really earthiness and gives it a little bit of crisper taste. But this drink is a water-based drink. It's a garden punch in a sense. It's a water-based drink with one lemon and one lime in it, a little bit of sugar. It's about a half a cup of sugar to 6 liters of water and some black Hawaiian salt and just a handful of the different herbs and the sorrel that they have growing here. A little bit of the micro basils we took for everything that you guys tried today. If you were in the tent, everything came from the tent. At the base with the water, but also with heirloom tomatoes. And literally just it's been stirred together and the sugar set on top and we let it kind of sit in. And it's a drink that, as far as an alcoholic concept, it can go from just the basic level of very fresh and natural to all the way to high. It's a fantastic drink with Hendrix in a tonic base. Switching out the water, or with a mezcal, and at home I did it with the mezcal and with juniper berries in it and some leeks also. It's wonderful. You can do, this one also has sweet potato leaves in it. So at home I did a sweet potato air to go on top of it. So you can take this drink 100 different ways, but when coming here and thinking about what everybody was talking about and just kind of what's going on, I wanted this drink to be more about the vegetables than me, because I come up here and do it 100 different ways my way, but it's to show you that people are willing to try new things. And if you can get someone to try a drink that has no booze in it, but you say, to tell somebody that you want to serve them a drink that's based off water or tomato water or vegetables, they look at you like you're crazy, especially in Iowa, because people are not willing to spend the money on drinks. $8 for a drink that doesn't have alcohol in it is absolutely absurd. But when you're able to give them something that they're able to feel refreshed afterwards, or they're able to highlight the notes in the food. And when I build drinks around a chef's menu. I go in and sit with the chef, and I become the most annoying person in the world. And so any chefs are there, I feel bad, because I sit behind you and ask questions that are like, what is that? Why are you doing that? How come you put that in first? And they're like, I don't know. That's just the way it is. Like if you're putting pepper in, then putting coriander in. I'm like, why do you put the coriander in second? They're like, it's because I put it in second. I don't know. I'm like, well, does it change? I have a psychology background, and I have a master's degree in counseling and therapy, so I become the analytical person that I want to know everything about everything.
I have found that there are more and more bartenders that do have the psychology degree. One of my best friends from home.
You kind of got to be, you got to be people's therapist. You got to be their love doctor a little bit, or you just got to be able to listen to their BS, and nod your head and take no political side. Well, maybe not as much these days. Before you could take no political side. Now I don't do that as much. But yeah, so it's this drink, I wanted it to not be about me. I wanted it to be about the herbs and the different spices and things that they had here. And that would be something that you could all see that you could grow off, whether it be any restaurant or cooking that you do. You could take it home and say, I can make this so simply and let it sit in my refrigerator or let it sit out for a couple days and just get this wonderful flavor out of it and build from that, instead of having to say, like, yes, you have to do it this way. So this is and long story short, it's a shortened down, dumbed down drink, water-based, but it's made to bring out the flavors that are here on the farm.
So you, like you said, you're from Iowa. Talk a little bit about your farms and the local ingredients that you get there. Anna just was talking about using the farm ingredients for juices, things like that. But obviously, there's plenty of corn around.
Absolutely.
There's plenty. But what are you getting in Iowa and the inspiration
in
for
Iowa, which most people think that when you come from Iowa, that you are in an abundance of a food culture of different things that grow in fields. Iowa is 90% agricultural based still. Probably 97%, I think last time it was like 97 point something percent of Iowa land is agricultural based, going to feed of animals or going export to China for soybean and corn. We come from a land that is GMO filled, nitrogen filled, And in recent years, as I had traveled back and forth when I had a restaurant in northwestern Iowa and come back to Des Moines every week, I would drive through the farmlands and see all the different things that you could see, whether it be, the stories of the blackest soil in the world is supposed to be in Royal, Iowa, where an acre of land starts at $25,000 and goes up to $250,000 because it's supposed to be such great growing land, and it's literally as flat as you can see for 100 miles and awful in 95-mile winds and cold. But that's not a good plug for Royal. But either way, it's a lot of land that is just every year rotated back to soy and corn. So in a sense, I was speaking last year when I was in New York with somebody that said, you realize you live in a place that could be considered a food desert. Because there is no visible option that you can go find that says, this produce was grown locally. I drove there, got it fresh picked within the last 2 to 3 days, especially if it's any kind of fruit. I mean, there's a rare occasion. I work with a couple of organic farmers that do specialty things, and they'll do kind of things that I grow, that I ask them to grow. And I work with a flower farm that's been wonderful about trying new things with new flowers. But for the most part, most of the farmers, they're on government subsidies. They get their money either way. If it's a bad year in the crops, we have a drought. They end up doing better off than they would if we had the best season ever, and they had millions of bushels of corn to get rid of, and then it's 37 cents a bushel, and they complain about that. So finding people to get into the vegetables and the fruits and anything, it's very tough because you can't find local. For example, 2 days ago, I went to the store and bought 3 organic apples. 3 organic Honeycrisp apples. It cost me $14.95 for 3 apples. Yeah, and which I didn't even think about it. I picked them up and bought them, and it was like, wow, these are, like $2.50, or $5 a pound plus, and it's outrageous. So getting people there to kind of adapt to and realize that there is this sustainable farming project and movement where it doesn't begin in Iowa, it begins everywhere, but Iowa State University horticulture program is so involved in this, in finding ways to reduce waste and reduce the nitrates in the soil and replenish the soil. And I'm sure many of you have seen the documentaries that are out there. And one way that's wonderful we found is that taking old waste, whether it be things that I use from events, whether it be orange peels, lemon peels, and different ways, and now returning that back, whether it be to flower farmers and laying it on the soil to help enrich the soil. And a project that I'm in the midst of working on now is actually going to be a soil comparison. And I was talking the other day with Chef Lee about that, about coming out here, and Jamie about getting some soils possibly from the farm here to take back and with the soils. And I believe that just like in many things, like when we look into products, you can taste the soil from different places. Everything tastes a little bit different, whether it be wine grape or whether it be produce, beets, carrots. I believe the soil tells the story. And to me, that taste is what the taste of the environment and the community is. And that's what I want to bring. I want to bring those flavors out and drink. And when I go in with a chef and talk about food, I want to find out what they want to highlight and how can we do that? How can we highlight where their food's coming from and build around that?
So on that note, yes, we got the little beverage there. So that beverage will be coming around. Since we're sort of in that desert, you're a master mixologist, you are building menus for beverages and things like that, whether it's non-alcoholic or alcoholic. Where are you seeing inspiration from? So,
honestly, I tell people all the time that the 2 most important people to my job, period, are farmers and chefs. I pull inspiration from anywhere, whether it be a picture someplace or I look at cookbooks religiously, and I go through and I'll take read a cookbook. People are like, oh, you're a chef, and I'm like, I'm by far anything but a chef. I cannot cook anything for my life. I make a scrambled egg here and there, but other than that, I'm by no means a chef. So I pull inspiration from all of you and the things that you guys do. And for me, I could go into a place and give you an absolutely high-end menu that's absolutely not done with vegetables, absolutely not done with anything except it can be spirit forward and high-end. And I would love to do that for you. But sometimes you walk into a place and you say, well, you may want this, but this is not what your market is going to consume. They aren't going to understand this. So we have to build this education that starts with starting them very simple and helping them understand flavors, and then working your way up. And eventually you can get to that high end, but you got to get people there where they're really comfortable first. And just like me and Anna were talking about juices, that people, if you put alcohol in this, people pay for it all day. But as soon as you don't have it in there, they're afraid to try it because they think, oh man, that's going to taste like every other vegetable juice that I've ever tried, which is not the case at all. It can be done a million different ways. And in the drink that you'll have coming around that I did at the punch, that has sugar in it. If I had more time to let it sit and rest, I don't put sugar in it at all. I use a sea salt on it instead, and to pull out some of those flavors a little bit more. And people think, they're always like, oh, there's sugar in this. You're like, no, there's not really sugar in it, but you're getting all that out of the fruits and pulling out the moisture out of the vegetables. So I did not.
Oh.
So,
I
yes.
thought it was an easy one, sorry.
I know, yeah. I did not, but
No, it was just more of a soak.
yeah, this is more of a
Extraction by time.
Yeah, so yep. Yeah, so what we did is it's definitely more of a soak, more of an infusion kind of. So more of like a vegetable water. Thought about trying to do it in different ways. We thought about, well, maybe I could do a syrup. One of the things that I did try with this, it was wonderful. And if any of you are ever interested in trying with different alcohols, I did a roasted squash blossom that was wonderful. We turned into a syrup, and it was delicious with this as a cocktail. But when it came to it, I wanted to make sure that this was a drink that ended up being just very neutral and very of the land. So.